Why is it on that side? Greetings from the Erie Coast. This is Mad Chad. What are we going to talk about today? Independence Day. Independence Day. Yes. Great day. Great day. On 4th of July, we observe and celebrate Independence Day. That is the day that we said and became our own country. And we never looked back. But in the beginning, there were doubts. There were doubts. July the 1st and the 2nd, they had meetings. Do we really want to do this? Do we really? I don't think we. And one person after another person got up there on the podium and said, "No, we don't want to break away from the crown. Let's just pay the taxes, pay the extra taxes, and just be fine. We don't want no trouble. We'll continue to live under the thumb." And a man named John Quincy Adams stood up. And from what we understand, gave the most compelling speech that turned the whole room of doubters into rebels. Now, that speech was never written down. It was off the cuff. He got up and he just said no. And he let out this most eloquent argument of why we should not live on our knees anymore under a tyrannical regime. It's a shame. It's a shame that nobody can transcribe that. They didn't have voice recorders back in the day. You know what I mean? They didn't have court reporters. Yeah, they didn't have that. But Thomas Jefferson and other accounts of it say that he roused the spirit like no one could. And of course, he went on to become our second president. Yeah, after George Washington fought the Revolution. Yes, he went. And George Washington himself was like, that guy, man. And John and Jefferson and Jackson and all those, they argued constantly just argued, just rah, 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 rah. Called each other every name in the book too. I mean, but they respected that. They respected the fact that they could talk to each other. High-spirited, with a lot of fuck yous and innuendos and go to hells and you know, your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. You know, I mean, who knows? Some of the insults are pretty interesting, but it just goes on and on and on, and they argued and hashed it out and figured this thing out, man. Figured it out, and they said, okay, all right, we're going to start our own country. We're going to have to be legit. And what do we want to do? We want to have a free country. That's why we're here, right? That's why we're here in the Americas, named after an Italian map maker, Americus Vespucci, and I don't think he's ever been here. But anyway, I digress on that one because of Christopher Columbus, and he never even been here either. He made it to the Caribbeans and left. So anyway, but this they argued, and there wasn't a lot of people that were okay with this whole becoming another nation, becoming the colonies, our own separate entity, away from, you know, the crown, you know, the United Kingdom, the British regime, And it was a regime, and it was a bloody, brutal regime. They would do everything. They would come into your house. They would just come right into your house, have a seat, eat your food, kill your dog, have sex with your wife, and, then when they leave, they'd burn everything. Or they take more than half of your livestock and give you like one cow or one chicken. They take your cow and they give you the chicken. So they did what they wanted, because they had the might. Might makes right, right? Well, not necessarily. Yes, it does, but some would say that it was a fluke, or it was just a bunch of rebel rousers and rebels and a few pesky little citizens. No, not necessarily. If you made it to this country back in the 1700s or the 1600s, you were from hardy stock. The Atlantic, first and foremost, to get on a ship, to ask someone, hey, could you take me? I'm going to give you this amount of money. Could you take me from here, in Europe somewhere or the UK, and take me all the way over to here, in a place called America? Yeah, cross the whole Atlantic. Could you do that for me, please? Fuck you. I mean, a lot of them were like, no, hell no. Later on, when they figured out that, how to do it, the logistics on it, it was a regular thing. And a lot of them took the northern route, the Viking route, skirting that. That's a lot. You can set up little posts and ports and stuff, and if you have to restock or resupply or something breaks or whatever, you could do that. Or they would, but going straight across was very dangerous, very, very dangerous. But they did it, and they came here. So with everything or with nothing, talk about. They went to work. As soon as they got here, they went to work. They built towns and farms, and they started building cities. And these cities still stand to this day. All right, with all the monuments. So that's where we come from. I mean, if you've never been through, Pennsylvania and the colony, what are the reenactors? I mean, that's pretty cool shit. That's some pretty cool stuff, man. But never seen the Liberty Bell, and the all that stuff is still there. Sadly enough, my Tun Tavern is not there anymore. It's now a hotel. They tore it down, whatever. But that would have been cool. I would have loved to make a pilgrimage to there. That's where all the Continental was it the Continental Marines or the Colonial Marines? I forget. Continental Marines were formed. But yeah, I talked about that before. But that's what they did. Their recruiting was in the pub, was in the taverns, because that's where you went. That's where you went to get your news, to get to do a deal. Hey, I've got 20 pelts of minks here. I've got 20 pelts of otter. What do you got? And that's what you did. And there was a lot of barter and trade. Because at that time, and still to this day, America is a bountiful place, man. Just bountiful place. And you hear a lot about a doom and gloom and everything. And yeah, sure, if we're not on top of it and we're not being vigilant, we could lose everything. No nation stands secure, like John Lovell says. And of course, he got that from that quote from someone else. But anyway, just giving credit where credit is due. But I'm inspired by this because of Prager University. They did a little video about John Quincy Adams, and I was like, wow, yeah. I mean, I knew there was a lot of arguing and everything. I didn't know it was John Adams that said, "Come on, you idiots," and kicked everybody in the ass and got this whole thing started. Because if his voice wouldn't have been there, we would have still been British. Imagine that one, you know. Instead of "God bless America," it would have been "God save the Queen." But you know, this started. Just, I mean, it's amazing to see the history. I mean, and it is a very short history in a very fast time, if you will, because not long after our conception, the conception of the Americas in the United States of America, everything was ratified and all that, and you know the Revolutionary War, and you know we gained our independence, rightfully so, in blood. You know, John Quincy Adams himself, he wasn't really a fighter. He was a thinker though. He was a thinker and he was a speaker. So he couldn't fight. He was short and fat and, you know, kind of limped and everything. So, but he took numerous trips across the pond to basically fuck with the UK and to garner support for the new Americas. He got the French on our side. You got some other people. Oddly enough, Cuba. Yes, Cuba. At the time, Cuba was a very rich plantation. And I'm not talking slaves, but I think there might have been some slaves, but it was a long. It was one of those places where they grew all kinds of stuff, you know, and they gave us like millions of dollars at the time. Just boom, here you go. Hell yeah! So a lot of countries jumped on the American bandwagon and helped us out. Really did. No, I think. Wait, let me take that back. Cuba. I think Cuba might have had a hand during the Civil War. I don't quote me on that. You might fact check me on that one. I don't. Sometimes the facts all kind of blend together like a beautiful beef stew, which Ghost Prepper and the Cannibals are doing right now. They're canning beef stew. In honor of that, I had beef stew today. I guess I had heard it and did that. But yes, check out Ghost Prepper and the Cannibals. Yeah, canning it up, baby. Canning it up. It's great stuff. Hopefully one day I'll get into canning. I mean, it's you know, I just got to get the gear, get the equipment right, and you know, because the information and knowledge is out there. I just gotta, you know, I've been taking notes. I've been watching Ghost and taking notes and everything. So anyway, you know, back to this thing. And we even had some Indians on our side too, that helped us out. And the French actually got in with some Indians and started, you know, doing some fighting, which is pretty neat. So there was like a French and Indian, you know, alliance, and they went north into Canada and started doing their thing there. But that's okay. But they helped us out a lot. The Portuguese, they helped us out with a lot of weapons. So we got a lot of support from different countries. We also got into some little tiffs. Shores of Tripoli. Yep, Halls of Montezuma. We went down south and started a little fight with the Montezuma clan there in the shores of Tripoli. You know that place. We were fighting pirates. Piracy was really, really big. Really, and I'm not talking like Blackbeard stuff. I'm talking about like if you had a boat or you could get a boat, you were a pirate, and everybody was doing it. The Moors were infamous. They were the most feared. The Asians, of course, the Asians. Uh, and I'm just going to say the Asians because there was a lot of mixture of Asian alliance in the piracy. It's kind of like because I studied the pirate history too. Being in South Carolina, pirates were a big part of the history. They would hide in the massive coves and waterways in South Carolina because the trees, they had pine trees as big around as your house and like 300 feet tall. So you could hide anything, a boat, anything. Just poof, see ya. The story of Drunken Jack Island. That's where Blackbeard, dropped off like 50 barrels of rum and put one guy on guard and said, "Hey, just stay here until we come back. We'll be back in about a month." Well, he kind of Blackbeard was a little late, and he came back a couple years later, and all he found was empty barrels and a skeleton. So, Drunken Jack Island. But anyway, shit, here we go. So, piracy, the worldwide criminal element was just ripe. And so we had to fight through that too. Because we as a growing, a brand spanking new nation, trying to get all these goods and services and imports and exports going, because that was our fuel, that was our economy. We had to have that, and so John Adams, of course, one of his other things he did is he petitioned to start a navy because they didn't want to start a navy. And that's obviously where the Marines went. They went on the ship and protected. And there was a lot of ship battle was very brutal. Even though there were muskets and cannonballs, which are badass, range weapons, you still had to get kind of close to make sure that you did some damage, and to make sure that sometimes it was a heavily armored and the stubborn boat that wouldn't go down. Sometimes you had to board it, and they did with their cutlasses and their muskets, and the Marines would get up in the top there and shoot down. That was one of their jobs is to run up the mast and get in there and start sharpshooting and shoot the sharps. But anyone with a Corfram or Quattreflame, Quattreflame, it was like a embellished kind of cross on a hat. Means don't shoot. That's one of your guys. So leather necks. They had thick leather cuffs necks. So the sabers would it would give them protection against the sabers. So all these things and all these technologies and everything that we had to go and do and figure out and shed a lot of blood. Even after our revolution and that we won our revolution, we still had to do a lot of fighting and with the Brits. They had opened. They were like, well, it's fair game if we catch you out in the seas. It's fair game, and we're gonna take you down if we see you. Or if we hear about you somewhere, we're gonna take you down. And a lot of times they would do they would send their conscripts, and that was also the thing too, is the pirates were conscripted, hired actually from the UK, from the kingdom, to come and harass us and fuck with us and everything. So they tried to do a blockade and embargo, and that didn't work. And we had a lot of. That's why we started the Navy, and we built our ships, and we had ships built overseas, and so we established our worldwide commerce, and this took a long time. This took a long time indeed. But finally we did it, and the 13 colonies grew. It grew and kept growing. So even thinking back to just the third, the fourth, the first, the second, the third, and the fourth. I mean, I look at history kind of like a longer now, if you will, because what they did back 245 years ago, back 1,000 years ago, back 10,000 years ago, still affects us to this day. So I mean, I'm living in northern Ohio, which was carved out by a freaking glacier, a massive glacier that carved and scooped out and moved stuff around, and so that's the landscape that we've been living in for hundreds of thousands of years, 300,000 years, I think, maybe 300 to 500,000 years ago. I don't know, well, something like that, but. The history that came about from one guy standing up and saying, no, fuck that. We're going to fight. I mean, basically he did the whole thing about, I'd rather, die on my feet than live on my knees. And so that fired everybody up. They were willing and able. They imagine, all of everybody. This is the Congress, the Continental Congress, or whatever. I don't even know if they were called that. But they were all willing and able to go ahead and pay the extra taxes and to live in peace. Well, you don't live in peace. You give an inch, they take a mile, and that's exactly what happened. What was happening. So John Adams and a lot of others too. All those guys, the John Hancocks and the Benjamin Franklins, the Andrew Jacksons and Thomas Jeffersons and George Washingtons. All these guys, man, all these guys that you hear about, that we know about, and remember those guys. We got taught that shit in school. I don't think they're teaching that anymore. I don't think they're teaching. We need to keep that alive. The world needs to know. And we need to know. And our kids need to know. Our generations from generations on need to know this. This is a great story. It is a story of true will and grit. And the willingness to say, that's it. We're not living under a tyrannical regime. We want to be free. We have a God-given right. And yes, I'm not really, a godly man, but God is in the Constitution. It's in everything. So it is God-given rights, certain inalienable rights that are given to man by God, by his creator, whatever. It's in there. And that's the right to be free and the right to defend that freedom. That's the big one. So, and that's what we've proven time and time again, over and over, as we send our young men and women off to fight and die in foreign countries and here. We did it here too. So, and all the other vets that jumped up and said, that's enough, I'm done with that. I came over here to get away from it all, and now you're bringing it back. Fuck. I better get out my old musket. Like the story of the Patriot with the Mel Gibson thing. That was pretty. I can imagine a lot of vets like that going, man, I guess I better jump back into that cedar chest, huh? Or that's a very powerful thing, and you've seen this in other movies too. It's John Wick, for example. He retired, and something happened. We all know what happened there, and he had to dig out his toolbox again. That that toolbox of death and go to work, and that's it, But so that you have to think about that, There's a lot of vets like that all over the world. All over the world. I mean, everywhere. So, especially here in America, at any given time, we all know about those boating accidents, don't we? Yeah, those boating accidents. Funny thing is, there's a GPS location for that boating accident, and probably a lock and key. Easily retrievable. But that's the thing. That idea, that premise, and I'm not just talking vets either. I'm talking about all people, all patriots, all Americans. Okay, have that ability to stand up and say no. That's it. We're not fighting again. We are not going to stand. We are not going to take this tyrannical regime lying down. I am not going to allow myself to sit here and do nothing. Even if you can't do anything, you're going to do something. I mean, one of the most powerful things I've ever seen in my life is a man in a wheelchair standing to salute. So, don't tell me that you can't do anything. All right. And these people didn't know what they were doing. They had no fucking clue. Some of them did. Like I said, there were some vets who were like, hey, we got this. Follow my lead. That's going to happen. Yeah. There's that. There's always going to be that. But for the most part, it was just a ragtag bag of people that said, yeah, let's fight. Or, hey, Bobby, hey, son, go. Get in there. Here's your dad's musket. He fought in the wars. He can't fight anymore, but he's going to be sending you food and hardtack and tobacco and powder and he's going to hook you up. So, don't worry. Just go fight the good fight. We got your back. And that's the other thing is family and friends, the backing of the militia that fought the tyrannical regime. The food, the water, all that stuff is not, that logistical stuff, that's very important too. Yeah, you take your musket and your balls and your powder and your wad and you go off to war and you think, okay, now what? What happens when you fire that first volley, the second volley, the third volley? Okay, now you're out of ammo, now you're out of water, now you're out of food. Oh, winter's coming. You need new shoes because you've been walking a lot. You got no shoes. You got no clothes. You got, the story of George Washington when they were all wintered. I mean, the guys were just freezing to death. They had to cut off their own toes. They would wake up in the morning, get off, stand up, and their toes would fall off. And like, oh crap, that's not good. So they had to get that financial back. You gotta back the army, and the people were doing that, and it kind of lulled here and there, and of course all the support coming from other countries in the form of goods and services and money, so that we could go procure other things as well. That all played a factor too. I mean, yeah, going off and grabbing your musket and your bayonet on there and going off to war. But what about those people that ran the underground black market railroad? That were getting all that lead balls and the muskets and what about those guys? That were doing it right under the nose of the British. I mean, there's stories of guys that were going to Britain to buy powder and ammo to bring it back to the Americas. I mean, there's stories like that. Fucking badass, They would just so many amazing stories of just regular people saying, I want to do something. I'm going to do my part and watch what I do. Watch how I do. Watch how I work. Watch how I roll, son. You know? And they did it. They did that shit. And that was the amazing thing, the ingenuity involved in making this happen. You know, it truly amazing. All the little stuff that you don't hear about in the textbooks. Just, you know, Paul Revere, the British are coming. The British are coming. And he was part of a network of scouts, of lookouts, of LPOPs. There were the listing posts, and when they would see, they would watch. They knew, okay, gotta watch the gotta sit there with my spyglass, and gotta watch the horizon and wait for these ships. And as soon as I see a ship, boom, I'm on my horse and I'm gone. I'm gonna go tell the captain, and he's got to muster him up, and you've got like maybe 6 hours. I mean, and he's got to tell somebody, and then tell somebody, and then tell somebody, and it's just got to go down from there. And they had fires they would light. It's so many things. In the middle of the night, it's people, you're supposed to be asleep, and they're all running around and getting shit together. And when the British landed, they were like, "Oh shit, they're here. They know we're here." Yeah, vigilance. Yes, vigilance. So it's the little things that catch me, man. The little farms that would they would in. Like all the little farms would, like, instead of, like, they would make 2 loaves of bread for their family, they'd make an extra loaf to send off, and there was a guy that came by, and he picked up, okay, extra meat, extra bread, boom, 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 and he would take it to the troops, so they could eat. Water, hardtack, tobacco, whiskey. Whiskey was also used as a painkiller, for that was their anesthetic. So people were making whiskey and rye, and George Washington made a lot of whiskey. I had a chance to taste his original bourbon or whiskey. Oh man, woo. That stuff. Damn. No wonder he had wooden teeth. So just to see what they went through to do this, to do the impossible, they made it work. And by hook or by crook, they made it happen. Nobody was we really didn't have a lot of backing. We had some. It was funny because a lot of the backing that we got was like, yeah, we're going to help you, but don't tell nobody. That kind of thing. So because everybody feared the retribution, feared the reprisal of the kingdom, the mighty kingdom. They would get you, man. They would get you. It was definitely an empire. A force to be reckoned with. So, and they basically ruled the world in fear. Took what they wanted and did what they wanted. Now we have the 4th of July coming, 2021, right? Yeah. And we see a lot of stuff going on, China's and Russia's and New World Order trying to take over. And you know what? We got to let the world remember. We got to remind them what happened on the 4th of July. And we got to celebrate, man. We got to celebrate. And celebrate we will. And observe. So, I just want to throw this out here, and just stories like that just raise my spirits. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna hear all this doom and gloom, and what about these guys, man? They're across the pond. Most of them grew up in Britain, in Europe, in areas of that nature. They grew up there. They fought there. They worked there. They, their family and friends are still, a lot of their family and friends are still there. You know, I mean, they dropped everything, or they took everything, to come to a new world and make a better life for themselves, and to really make and grow something. And they were doing pretty good, So why every explosion I hear, every bombs bursting in the air. That's why we do this. That whole "Oh Say Can You See" by the Dawn's Early Light. That thing, Remember that? Y'all gonna make me sing it? Yeah. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. From the ramparts we watch, we're so gallantly screaming, and the rocket's red glare, yeah, that thing, rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Anyway, so, yeah, that's why we do this. That's why we fly the flag. It's funny. My next door neighbors upstairs, we have like this balcony kind of setup going on. They're flying they've draped a flag down over their balcony. It's great. I love it. And it's I can see the bottom portion of the flag, above my balcony. And I heard them up there, and I'm like, I don't want to disturb. No, please, man, fly it proudly. Fly that thing, Fly it proudly. I don't care. I don't care if you run it all the way down to the ground. Don't touch the ground. No, don't do that. So, because our flag has never fallen in battle. Anyway, yeah. So I'm digging it. I can look out my window and see a flag right in my face. So it's great. I love it. So yes, it's going to be a big event, and yes, I usually run and hide and throw in earplugs for any kind of fireworks and stuff. But this year I am going to do it. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch the explosions. I'm going to fight the urge to seek cover and return fire, and I'm going to watch this thing, and I'm going to dwell on that. I'm going to love it, because that is our history. That's why we blow things up. That song was written while they watched a battle going down and the flag flying still. And you can only see it through glimpses of the explosions. It's pretty fucking badass. That's a song. That's a song. That's why we have this flag. That's what's up. So, stories like that, man, that's just amazing, And the our national anthem, it's a lot longer. If you ever look it up. There's a whole large section that we don't sing, that nobody knows the words to. We're rightly so, because it's a long ass damn song. It really is, but it's amazing. It's amazing. I implore you to look it up and check it out. I probably should have done that, and I might do that tomorrow. That's a good idea. I might do that. But You know, for somebody to be watching a battle between the British and Americans, and the Americans are sitting in their fortress, getting bombarded by the British, you know, cannons, and a flag, the United States flag, flying, and you could only see it through glimpses of explosions, rockets' red glare, you know, the bombs bursting in the air, and there's the flag. There it is, still standing. Shit. Let's go. It's go time. I mean, you know, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. That's who we are. We are still that rebellious fuck you spirit. You know, we're always going to be that. We're always going to be that. And this day reminds us and reminds the world that we still are. We're still red-blooded Americans, and we still have a flag. Okay? A badass flag. So, yeah, you know, I see a lot of countries, and they got some good flags, but, you know, that's their flag. That's my flag. So, and I will fight for that flag. I've gotten in a lot of trouble over that flag, actually. I've already done it. Don't disgrace that flag in my presence. Let me just say that. But anyway, tomorrow, man, drink beers, do some cookouts, hot dogs, hamburgers, you know, and fly the flag, man. Fly the flag. And holy shit, I got deer in the parking lot. Wow. Eat some deer. Or feed the deer. They feed them around here. And there's some babies. The fawns. The fawns are getting bigger. That's great. They're eating the grass in the parking lot. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, that's this great country, man. We got food just walking around. In the city, in the suburbs. Yeah. Gotta love this country. You know? So, it's Mad Shad encouraging you all to continue to be Americans and continue to be independent and celebrate our independence. You know? Because we all know it's a mad world out there.